told that that type of vernacular constitutes erasure language. How about another one? How about the conference, Gender Equity in the Mathematical Study of Commutative Algebra? Do you think that that's a valid form of government spending?
I think mathematical research of all types is deserving of government.
What about studying, and this is directly from the National Science Foundation's website, women and non-binary mathematicians?
Again, I think all kinds of government investment should be dedicated toward mathematical.
All kinds of government investment.
scientific.
You don't have any kind of limit on what we're spending our money on? Just everything? Is that your testimony?
I am talking about Doge. You brought up a
So
grant.
am I. This is a grant that Doge cut.
I am not familiar with this particular grant, but I think government investment in mathematical, biological.
Okay. Let's do another one. This one is called hashtag Transcendent Health, adapting an LGB plus inclusive teen pregnancy prevention program for transgender boys. I can't even say this without laughing. Do you think that that is a useful form of our tax spend?
I am not familiar with that grant, but I think bench research, government investment in scientific and pharmaceutical
Teen pregnancy
research.
for transgender boys.
All right, hold on. If that little snippet didn't already tell you everything you need to know about how unserious some of these government officials are with your money, then buckle up, because a full video is even worse. Representative Brandon Gill walked into that room and did what a lot of Americans are begging for. He treated our tax dollars like they matter. He didn't let the witness hide behind vague academic language. He didn't let her dodge simple questions. He pulled out actual grant titles, actual government spending, and asked for real answers. And what did we get back? Evasion, buzzwords, non-answers, and a whole lot of "I'm not familiar with that grant," even though she claimed to be defending them. If you're tired of seeing government agencies throw money at anything with the right ideological label on it, this is a video you need to watch to the end. Before we roll the full thing, do me a quick favor. Like this video, hit subscribe, and turn on notifications. We have a lot to break down, and you're not going to want to miss a second. All right, let's watch the full hearing. Then we'll talk.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It never gets boring in here. And I'd like to say thank you to the witnesses for being here and for taking the time. Ms. DeVito, thank you for coming here. In your testimony, you said that Americans deserve a government that works for them, a government that makes their lives easier and more secure. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Great. I'd like to read through a couple of the grants that Doge has pulled back, and I'd like to get your take on them. They pulled back a $1.5 million NIH grant to Morehouse College. It was called the Center to Advance Reproductive Justice and Behavioral Health among Black, Pregnant / Postpartum Women and Birthing People. Do you think that that makes Americans' lives easier and more secure?
I think that medical and scientific research of all types.
Do you think that that constitutes critical research? According to your testimony, NIH grants are critical research.
I think that government research of all types in the medical.
Including
and
birthing people?
I think bench research of all types plays a fundamental
What is a
role.
birthing person?
Sir, I am here to talk about the Doge impact.
Well, I'm
for
asking
working
you about this
families.
grant and you're defending it. So I'm asking you who is birthing people?
I am not familiar with this grant. I take a position that all kinds of government research, medical,
Is a
pharmaceutical,
birthing person a woman? Is that another
biological,
word for female?
That is outside the scope of my expertise.
Seems like erasure language to me. I've been told that that type of vernacular constitutes erasure language. How about another one? How about the conference, Gender Equity in the Mathematical Study of Commutative Algebra? Do you think that that's a valid form of government spending?
I think mathematical research of all types is deserving of government.
What about studying, and this is directly from the National Science Foundation's website, women and non-binary mathematicians?
Again, I think all kinds of government investment should be dedicated toward mathematical.
All kinds of government investment.
scientific.
You don't have any kind of limit on what we're spending our money on? Just everything? Is that your testimony?
I am talking about Doge. You brought up a
So am
grant.
I. This is a grant that Doge cut.
I am not familiar with this particular grant, but I think government investment in mathematical, biological.
Let's do another one. This one is called hashtag Transcendent Health, adapting an LGB plus inclusive teen pregnancy prevention program for transgender boys. I can't even say this without laughing. Do you think that that is a useful form of our tax spend?
I am not familiar with that grant, but I think bench research, government investment in scientific and
Teen
pharmaceutical
pregnancy
research.
for transgender boys. Do you think that that is a useful spend of our tax dollars?
I think government investment in all kinds of scientific research is of the utmost importance.
Including pregnancy prevention for transgender boys. Okay. Let me ask you, we can come back to this later maybe. Do you support abolishing the filibuster still?
I am here to talk about Doge respectfully.
Right.
and
We could abolish the filibuster and get a lot of Doge cuts through. And you've written at length on your Twitter about abolishing the filibuster. I'm just curious if you think that we should do that still.
I did a lot of previous work on different topics because I am an economic policy expert, and respectfully, I'm here to talk about Doge cuts.
Okay, but we could abolish the filibuster and get Doge cuts. This is totally germane here. Do you think we should?
I am here to talk about Doge cuts, not strategies for achieving more of them, but the harms that they have produced for working families.
That's a convenient change of opinion. I noticed that most of your comments about the filibuster were during the Biden administration. But we can move on. Let's go back to some more of these grants. Do you think that we should be spending money on, quote, the racialized basis of trait judgments from faces?
I am not at all familiar with that grant.
It's a $500,000 NSF grant.
Okay, I am not familiar with the subject matter or the
But
particular
you're
grant.
defending these.
I am saying that I think the government
You're pretty
has-
adamant against Doge cuts, and I'm asking you if you support the cuts
I think that
that
there
Doge
is
has found.
economic and medical, public health, communal benefit to
What
the
about
government
cross-sex
investing
steroid therapy and cardiovascular risk in the transgender female?
Again, I think government investment in scientific research is
Right.
important.
Thank you for your testimony. I appreciate it.
Full
The
hearing.
gentleman's time.
Then we'll talk. Okay, that was worse and somehow funnier than the snippet suggested. Let's talk about what just happened. Representative Brandon Gill didn't walk in with opinions. He walked in with receipts, actual grant listings, actual funding amounts, and actual descriptions that sound like they were generated by a parody generator. And every time he asked a witness to justify these grants, she retreated to the same safe phrase. I think government investment in scientific research is important. And sure, when you say it like that, nobody disagrees. But the problem is, she said that exact line while defending research she couldn't describe, didn't read, and openly admitted she wasn't familiar with. That tells you everything. Gill read off grants like studies about birthing people, gender equity projects in commutative algebra, teen pregnancy programs adapted for transgender boys, non-binary mathematicians, and even a grant about trait judgments from faces. Every one of these raises legitimate questions. And every time he asked those questions, she dodged, evaded, and refused to define basic terms. And the most telling part? When he asked her what a birthing person is, something the average American could answer in half a second, she said it's outside her expertise. Outside her expertise? You're defending the grant. What Gill exposed here wasn't just confusion. It wasn't just ideological language. It was bureaucracy protecting itself, even when it doesn't understand its own spending. And then Gill expertly pivoted to her past comments about abolishing the filibuster. He wasn't random. He pointed out the inconsistency. When the Biden administration wanted big ideological policies pushed, she was publicly cheering for ending the filibuster. Now that cuts she disagrees with are happening, suddenly she can't comment. That's what you call selective conviction. Representative Gill showed the core problem. These agencies operate with no guardrails. They stamp research on anything, pour in millions, and then act shocked when someone asks a basic accountability question. And here's the part one admire most. Gill didn't get baited into a culture war argument. He kept the conversation tied to government spending, accountability, and the duty to taxpayers. He didn't have to raise his voice, and he didn't have to dramatize anything. The absurdity revealed itself. This was one of the clearest examples of how to conduct oversight: calm, direct, and relentless. Representative Brandon Gill did exactly what people elected him to do, shining a light on waste, exposing evasiveness, and demanding straight answers from people who routinely hide behind buzzwords and bureaucratic shields. If you're someone who cares about fiscal responsibility, transparency, and government accountability, this exchange should matter to you. Call to action. If you enjoyed this deep dive, smash that like button, drop a comment, and subscribe for more reactions like this. Tell me in the comments, which grant sounded the most unbelievable to you? More reaction content coming. Stay tuned.